Now, as gas-hungry Europe revives coal plants, complicating its climate ambitions, the blistering heat this summer is showing just what is at stake. That is today's Bloomberg Big Take story, which ties together the climate story and the heat that we're seeing at the moment. For more, we're joined by one of the authors of the piece, Bloomberg's Megan Durisin. Megan, very nice to have you with us. So what are some of the examples of the extreme weather that we're seeing across Europe? I know we're bracing for weather to become much more extreme this weekend here in London, but the rest of Europe has already seen some of this.
That's right. So here in London, I mean, just this week we're seeing this. So temperatures are nearing 35 degrees Celsius. In France, they're going to be flirting with 40 here soon. So it is hot, but those conditions have been with us really all year. So Spain and Portugal, for example, are facing some of their driest conditions in a millennium. In Italy, the Po River, which is a major river for irrigation, for example, is near its lowest in about 70 years. So much so that parts of the riverbed are visible. They recently an old World War II tanker became visible there again. And the Rhine in Western Europe is also the lowest for this time of year in about a decade. So that's posed, quite a challenge for industry. It means that we've seen some power plants shutting down. It's also meant on the agriculture side, some crops are wilting. So that all threatens further inflation to come.
So what does this all mean for Europe's ambitions to address climate change?
Yeah, so, here in Europe, there has been, some concrete plans made to address climate change, some pretty ambitious plans. So last year, they pledged to cut emissions, I believe it was 55% versus by 2030 versus 1990 levels. They've also earmarked, €1 trillion towards sustainable investments. But the problem is right now, especially facing lower supplies of Russian natural gas, they're turning towards some dirtier sources of energy, for example, so burning more coal, extending gas pipelines, things like that. But when you see extreme weather conditions like this, it just kind of highlights the fact that, backpedaling is not an option.
And Megan, you cover agriculture. That's your area of expertise. Can you give us a sense of how farmers in particular have been affected by the heat and by the dryness?
Sure. So I spoke with one farmer for this story who's in France and was saying that when she was harvesting her rapeseed crops in June, also known as canola, she was doing it in the middle of the night. And so that was because it was, so hot and dry at that time. There was in the area, some harvest machinery was catching fire at other farms. So she was trying to prevent that. But we've also seen, recently the European Commission cut its estimate for the soft wheat harvest here by about 5 million tons. The EU is a major wheat exporter, and as you know, global wheat supplies are quite tight due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So that could dent the ability of the EU to export some of that wheat abroad. So, and in Italy, it also has been quite hard hit. They're a major fruit and vegetable producer as well as grains. So across the bloc, there's just farmers have been facing a lot of challenges from these dry, hot conditions.